Have you ever had the disturbing sensation of seeing something that everyone around you seems completely blind to? Of perceiving obvious patterns, social lies, or inconvenient truths that everyone ignores, and when you try to share them, people look at you as if you're crazy? Here's a truth nobody told you. Seeing what others don't see isn't a superpower. It's a curse disguised as a gift. And the more clearly you see, the lonelier you become. I know what this is like. For years, I carried the weight of perceiving things that my friends, family, and colleagues simply couldn't see. It's not arrogance. It's a genuine ability to connect dots that, for some reason, remains invisible to most people. And this ability has cost me relationships, opportunities, and honestly, many sleepless nights. Carl Jung, the revolutionary Swiss psychoanalyst who mapped the depths of the human mind, lived exactly this experience. He saw patterns in the collective unconscious that the scientific community of his time completely rejected. His own journey of seeing beyond the veil of conventional reality almost drove him to madness, and it was exactly this experience that made him one of the most important thinkers of the 20th century. Jung not only understood the danger of seeing too much, but developed a map to navigate this condition without losing yourself in the process. Jung discovered that certain perceptions come with an inevitable emotional and social burden. He called this transformative knowledge, insights that once seen cannot be unseen, and that separate us from those who still live in unconsciousness. Imagine Maria, an employee at a large company who, after years of observation, clearly perceives that her company is deliberately deceiving customers with questionable practices. She sees the internal emails, hears the corridor conversations, connects the dots. When she tries to alert colleagues, they say she's exaggerating or creating problems. When she speaks to her boss, she's labeled as negative and not a team player. Maria now carries alone a truth that nobody wants to acknowledge, and it eats away at her from the inside. She can no longer pretend she doesn't know, but she also can't do anything with what she knows. Knowledge rests not only in the act of seeing, but in being transformed by what is seen. Maria isn't just an employee who discovered something. She was fundamentally transformed by this discovery, while her colleagues remain unchanged in ignorance. Jung identified that those who can access deeper layers of reality, whether through intuition, analysis, or sensitivity, inevitably experience what he called ontological isolation, being alone not just physically, but existentially. Think of Raphael, a 25-year-old who, during family gatherings, clearly perceives the dysfunctional patterns that have been repeating for generations. How his grandfather subtly humiliates his grandmother, how the uncles perpetuate cycles of toxic competition, how everyone pretends everything is fine while there's palpable tension in the air. Raphael sees that his family is trapped in dynamics that cause real suffering, but when he tries to address the issue, he's accused of creating drama or being too sensitive. At parties, he sits at the table feeling completely alienated, surrounded by people, but profoundly alone in his perception of reality. The person who sees beyond social conventions, Jung said, must accept loneliness as the price of expanded consciousness. It's not that Raphael chose to be different, he simply cannot not see what he sees. Jung observed that many who possess sharp perceptions develop what he called the savior complex, the compulsion to try to awaken others to truths they see, even when there's clear resistance. This leads to a cycle of frustration and bitterness. Consider Anna, a friend who can accurately identify when people around her are in toxic relationships. She sees the signs, the subtle control, emotional manipulation, abuse patterns. When her best friend Carla starts dating someone obviously manipulative, Anna can't contain herself. She presents evidence, shares articles, tries delicate conversations. Carla not only ignores her but distances herself from Anna, accusing her of being jealous and controlling. Anna is devastated. She genuinely tried to help, but was punished for seeing too much. Now she carries the weight of watching her friend suffer in a relationship she knew would end badly. While being seen as the villain of the story, Jung warned, "The greatest danger for those who see is believing they have the duty to awaken those who sleep." Unsolicited truth is always received as aggression. Anna learned the hard way that insight without invitation is invasion. One of Jung's most disturbing discoveries was that the ability to see others clearly often comes accompanied by blindness to our own shadows. Those who can dissect others' motivations and patterns may be completely blind to their own defense mechanisms and self-deceptions. Marcos is extremely perceptive about people. He can identify when someone is lying, when they're being manipulative, when they're projecting insecurities. In social groups, he's known for his accurate observations about others' behavior. But Marcos has a giant blind spot. He doesn't realize that his own need to analyze and expose others comes from deep insecurity and a need to feel superior. He criticizes people's superficiality at work, but can't see that his own constant criticism is a way to avoid real intimacy. His relationships are superficial, not because other people are shallow, but because he uses his superior perception as a barrier that protects him from being truly vulnerable. Jung was relentless about this. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. The cruel paradox is that the more clearly we see others, the blinder we can become to our own limitations. Jung identified that the ability to perceive nuances and hidden patterns frequently transforms into exhausting hypervigilance, an inability to turn off the perceptive radar, leading to mental and emotional exhaustion. Laura is a graphic designer who has an incredible ability to perceive visual inconsistencies, aesthetic patterns, and details that escape others. But this same sensitivity has made her unable to relax. When she goes to a restaurant, she can't stop noticing flaws in the menu design, lighting problems, questionable color choices. In conversations, she automatically analyzes people's micro-expressions, their word choices, hidden meanings. At work, she sees problems in projects that aren't even finished yet. Laura lives in a constant state of sensory and mental overload. She can't watch a movie without analyzing every cinematographic decision or have a casual conversation without detecting subtexts. Her ability to see has become a prison. She literally cannot stop perceiving. Expanded consciousness, Jung wrote, is both a blessing and a curse. Seeing too much can be as debilitating as seeing too little. Laura discovered that constant insight isn't illumination, it's exhaustion. Jung's solution to the dilemma of seeing too much wasn't to stop seeing, but to learn to consciously choose when and where to apply our sharp perception. He called this wisdom of containment, the understanding that not every truth needs to be processed, shared, or confronted. Let's return to Raphael from the family gatherings. After years of frustration trying to change toxic family dynamics, Raphael learned a new strategy. He still sees the dysfunctional patterns, that hasn't changed. But now he consciously chooses when it's worth engaging. If his cousin is clearly provoking an argument, Raphael simply walks away instead of trying to mediate or point out what's happening. If his grandmother is being diminished, he offers direct support to her privately, instead of confronting the aggressor publicly. Raphael maintained his capacity for perception, but gained the wisdom not to be enslaved by it. He understands that his family may not be ready for the truth he sees, and that forcing this truth only causes more pain for everyone, including himself. Jung reached this conclusion after decades. Maturity is not in seeing less, but in knowing when to use what we see. Raphael learned that discernment isn't just about perception, it's about wise action based on perception. Now we arrive at Jung's deepest insight about this dilemma, and it's a truth that will completely change how you see your own capacity for perception. Jung discovered that the real danger of seeing what others don't see isn't in the loneliness, the rejection, or even the sensory overload. The real danger lies in believing that our perception is a flaw in the world, when in reality it's a personal responsibility. All the principles we've explored, the weight of knowledge, the visionary's loneliness, the savior temptation, the shadow mirror, the hypervigilance trap, all of them have a common root: the unconscious belief that if we can see something, then the world should recognize and value that vision. But Jung realized something revolutionary. Our ability to see beyond is a call to a deeper inner journey, not a license to judge or try to fix the external world. Seeing what others don't see is an invitation to individuation, the process of becoming genuinely yourself, independent of external validation. The real transformation happens when we stop seeing our sharp perception as a burden the world imposed on us, and start seeing it as a tool for our own growth and understanding. Let's revisit our journey. We understood that unsolicited knowledge carries a natural weight, that the visionary's loneliness is real but doesn't have to be permanent, that trying to save others can destroy us, that our clarity about others can blind us to ourselves. that hypervigilance can exhaust us, but that we can learn to consciously choose where to apply our perception. This week, I challenge you to do this. Identify one situation where you would normally try to open someone's eyes or confront a truth you see, but they don't. Instead, practice what Jung called wise containment. See it, acknowledge it internally, but choose not to act. Use the energy you would spend trying to change external perception to ask yourself, what is this situation teaching me about myself? Remember the question we asked at the beginning, about seeing what others can't see and feeling crazy or alone because of it. The answer isn't to stop seeing, nor to force others to see. The answer is to use our capacity for perception as an internal compass that guides us toward who we really are, instead of using it as a weapon against who others are. When we make this shift, loneliness transforms into creative solitude, frustration becomes wisdom, and our cursed gift finally reveals itself for what it always was, a door to a more authentic and conscious life. If this video resonated with you, subscribe to the channel, because here we explore exactly this kind of wisdom, how to transform the most difficult challenges of expanded consciousness into real opportunities for growth. And now I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt isolated for seeing things others can't perceive? How do you deal with the temptation to try to awaken the people around you? And what's the most difficult truth you carry alone? Let's create a real discussion in the comments. This is a safe space for those who feel different for seeing beyond the surface.